Welcome to another episode of the Back Catalogue podcast. This is the podcast where we, and by we I mean me, Appo, and my co-host / co-founder Vincent, we dive into the streaming services and we tell you, the listener and the viewer, what is worth it and what is not. And today we jumped into, well, we thought we were jumping into Amazon, but then Amazon had to hit us with the, you got to rent this for $4. But we are jumping into the Terminator universe, which is being suggested by Dylan B on YouTube. So shout out Dylan B.
For a second, I thought you said Gillen. I mean, bro, I don't know a Gillen.
But it is Dylan B who's requested such things.
Yeah, Dylan B requesting the Terminator specifically.
Dylan B also requested Superman movies, but those movies are like 2.5 hours long, and we're doing weekday things today.
That's right. We couldn't do 2.5 hour movies, so that might be sometime in the future, Dylan. All right, stay tuned.
But let me tell you,
it'll come up, but we don't know when.
Mm-hmm. Look, I'm going to tell you one thing for certain. The Batman is going to come up before a Superman movie comes up, because that in itself is 2.5 hours, and we need to go watch that.
We do.
Effective immediately.
Effective immediately. Have you got the statistics up for this movie?
I've got the statistics right here. Do you want me to get into them right now, Vincent?
Yeah, I mean, it's as good a time as any.
Could I just say something just up top, Vincent, though?
Yeah.
Hey, if you're watching this on
YouTube,
record? Go down. This is off the record. This is just for me and you.
Okay.
All right? This is just, literally, Vincent, you're the only one that can hear this.
Yeah, okay.
All right? Vincent, what I need you to do if you're on YouTube right now is I need you to go hit like and hit subscribe.
Hold on.
If you listen to this
get on YouTube.
Get on YouTube. Yeah. And whatever you first see, just hit like and subscribe.
Okay, what have I got
And look, if you're on any podcasting app, you got to subscribe to the Back Catalogue.
Okay.
Now, if you give us a... hold on a second. If you give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and we get 200 5-star reviews, we are officially Rotten Tomato reviewers. And that's a goal. That's, we got Yumbo to 1K, now it's get Apple Podcasts to 200. That's the next goal.
I've found a video. The first one is it looks like Minecraft of some sort, or like, I don't know, some pixel art. And it's all got, I don't know if this is Japanese or Korean, I'm not sure.
But make sure you like and subscribe.
I can't read it. I've liked and subscribed to Tai777.
100%.
They get 4.8 million views 7 years ago.
Jesus Christ,
that's right.
See, that's algorithms. That's positive content. That's Minecraft things. So I think we need to go into all three of those.
Oh, bro, this slaps.
Well, Vincent's going to put the link into the people can't see this, Vincent. This is this is
this is off the record.
This is an audio format. I mean, this is off the record. This is for me and you, but
bro, this is an audio format. This is off the record. I'm gonna have to copy this. I'm gonna have to paste this, and I have to remember this to put it in the show note, because I don't know what this is, but this slaps.
But it slaps. Is it like a K-pop sort of slap? Because you said it was in another language.
No, it was. I don't know. It's like video game music, and there's just like, bro, I don't even know what to tell you. You're just gonna have to click the link below and find out.
What I want you to tell me is, if we put our YouTube side by side, our recommended, would we be friends anymore?
1 hour Chrono Trigger. Okay, so I think it's video game music from the game Chrono Trigger.
I'll jump through this screen right now.
Why?
I'll jump through this Zoom format. Wherever you are, on my left or my right, I'm jumping through.
Why?
What's happening? Because you're talking about Kronos, You're talking about the evil heads in The Incredibles right now. Well, we need to be talking about... Vincent always says to me, he's always like, oh man, we have to do the like and subscribe at the start. And then the one time I remember you're doing Kronos business. I'm trying to I'm trying to establish a business here.
Yeah, that's right. On your couch.
I was going to say, I'm trying to run an establishment. Dude, this is comfort. This is comfort. I've got art in the background. You can't see it, but there's a bit of art in the background. But anyway, Vincent, today we did... let me get the... we did 1984's very own The Terminator. Starring the incomparable. I mean, just starring the incomparable Linda Hamilton, but also, I mean, no one's ever seen a man quite like him before. It's starring the incomparable Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And that other
Now, this got the 8.10 out of the... And then Michael Biehn. Are you talking about Michael Biehn?
Michael Behan.
Michael Behan. And shout out Michael Behan because, you know, he's got... I'm going to talk about him, you know, specifically regarding his body versus Arnold's body later on in this podcast, but it's worth a talk. It's worth the talk, let me tell you that much. But this got the 8.1 out of 10 on the IMDb. It's got the 100% on the Rotten Tomatoes.
What? That's nuts.
The critic rating for this movie is 100%, and I believe if I remember correctly, it is a 89% for the audience review. So there's some differences, but it's still fresh.
100% for the critics. You're telling me that 100% of critics like this movie.
Now this was 85 reviews.
See, that's
65 reviews. 65 reviews.
See, that doesn't make sense to me because like there's got to be one head who worked for some like anti-sci-fi blog that gives it a bad review just because it's like, bro, it's sci-fi. Like this is not good. Like this is fiction. All I want is documentaries.
Oh man, I'm having technical difficulties over here. But Vincent, this is the thing. This is exactly why we need to be on the Rotten Tomatoes. Is because we could give this rating, potentially we could take it down a notch, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
This doesn't have to be at
and
the 100%.
we would take it down a notch because this movie sucks.
So Vincent, should we get into this movie? Should I give you the synopsis and we just get into it?
Give me the synopsis, yeah.
Now we're just doing this old school back catalogue style where we're just getting into this movie and we're just talking things. So, a cyborg assassin is sent back in time to kill Sarah, a waitress, in a bid to stop her son, who will wage a long war against his enemy in the future unless the course of history is altered. That's just James Cameron things. You know, he'll throw all these words at you and you have to understand them. But that's words and that's James Cameron. So, Vincent, let's get into this. I can see there's some animosity regarding you and this movie. Like, you look at this movie and you look at it sideways. You look at it up and down, but you're looking out the corner of your eye as opposed to looking at it straight on because you don't like this movie. Is what I'm sensing.
This movie was fine. No, I was just making a joke for like the people at home. You know, that's just comedy things. You know, that's just Jerry Seinfeld things. All right.
Look, if it's your first time tuning into this, when Vinny says that's something things, like it's a specific and then things after, I'll laugh, man. I'll laugh.
Oh my goodness!
So Vincent,
I don't know if
the
viewer could see this or like the listener can hear this in my voice. But like I had a rough day at the office, and like I'm like at a point of delirium right now. You know, like I'm looking at things and they're looking at me sideways. So who knows what's going to happen? If I start throwing out like derogatory slurs, I'll apologize.
Don't. Okay, how about this, Vincent? Let's go somewhere safe right now. Let's go somewhere safe. Now this can be in or off the record. How about right now we just look up top 10 memes of 2021 and we look at them until one of us laughs.
No, let's do the Terminator. That's hilarious, but we'll do that another time. No, let's do the Terminator.
Are you sure? Like, if you need to go into a better space, like, we'll just look at the memes, we'll break them down, we'll rate them out of 10.
This will get me to a better space. We just got to get there, and I've got to stop looking at like Kronos.
All right, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about, so we're not doing the memes then?
No, we're not doing the memes. That's another video. Okay. Stay tuned for that.
That's another video. The first thing that I wanted to specifically talk about was just Arnold Schwarzenegger as an individual. Bro, I guess we should probably give a synopsis. Do you reckon that was a good enough synopsis?
Yeah, it was fine.
What they said? Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's essentially cat and mouse games.
He's perfect.
Yeah. I mean...
You can't find a fault with it.
You can't find a fault with much of that man's physique within that time period.
I mean, they showed off. They leveraged the physique. Because there's a shot where he's just butt naked looking over the city of Los Angeles or wherever they are.
That's actually a good question. I believe it was Los Angeles because they said Pico, and I think that's like Pico Boulevard, which is in LA. But I might be wrong.
Everything's in LA.
Yeah, but it's either LA or New York, you know, and they're quite distinct places, like
It was
west
definitely not
versus
New
east.
York.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, no, that opening shot of him, you see that, and I think this is why Arnold. It wasn't necessarily his acting performance in this, which I'll get into in a bit later, but I think that alone was enough for people to be like, all right, this guy just has to be in movies now.
Yeah,
Because this man he's not built right. He's built different.
they were mesmerized.
It was crazy. I was looking at his back. You see how his back starts off real big and wide, and then it just cuts down into like a V.
Yeah.
And it's like, how many lat pull downs and pull ups do you have to do to even get close to that? I'll do like maybe 10 pull ups in you know, a 3-week span, and I'll look at my body and I'll be like, why don't I look like Arnie? You know, heads will see that man's physique, and they'll be like, I went to the gym 2 times last week and I did chest both of those times. Why don't I look like Arnold? And then they'll be saying it's all the steroids.
That's right.
It's like, you can't look like, if I just started eating steroids, I'd look exactly the same.
Just eating steroids.
I just look like me.
You got your Wheat Bix, you got your yogurt, you got your honey, you got your steroids. It's like another
I got
topping.
my vitamin C tablets.
That's right.
I got my vitamin C tablets as well, because that's health. I could just picture, you know, just some bodybuilder who's like, oh man, I got to get my steroids into my macros today, and he's just crushing them up onto his Nutrigrain. You know, if only that's how it worked for people like me and you know, to look like Arnold.
That's right.
But I mean, if you're going to get an individual to be what this movie is, you know, depicts as being a Terminator, which is a cyborg, which is like a humanoid cyborg, or is a cyborg just is that? Am I just saying something
organism.
that's redundant? Cybernetic organism. If you're going to get someone, you have to get Arnold Schwarzenegger at that point in his life.
That's right.
I mean, I think especially he looked young, so I'm assuming his English was not that good then. So you give him minimal lines, you just get him walking to and from a situation looking quite menacing and scary and huge. That's all you need to make a perfect character.
That's all you need. And that's all the character is, and that's all it needs to be. Does he have, how many lines does he actually have in the movie that he says?
That's a good IMDb. That's a good IMDb trivia question. I reckon I'm going to do, if we're doing it, I'm going to say he has, huh? He says more than one.
No, I reckon.
No, I reckon he says, you know, he says more than that.
Nah, that's it.
I reckon he's got 11 lines that he says.
How many?
And I think he says 11 lines because he tells some guy to F off at some point. He says something about boots.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He says, "Are you Sarah Connor?" to about 3 people.
Yeah, nah, that's fair.
Now, I haven't seen this movie since I was I don't even know if I have seen this movie or if I've just seen it in bits. But I've seen the Judgment Day one, which is the second one. But I didn't realize that this would be presented as very much just like a horror movie.
It is kind of wild. It's a lot of suspense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thriller, an action thriller almost.
Yeah, because I was expecting it to be, you know, and I mean they do a lot of it, which I'm not really the biggest fan of in this movie in particular. Is, you know, they'll do some sci-fi things and they'll say like, you know, he's got the plasma 346, and then this guy over here he's got the 721, and they're just saying big words that sound scientific.
This is like the pinnacle of 80s, like that era sci-fi. We'll just chuck in some plasma, some robots, some Skynet, some artificial intelligence, that kind of stuff. Like the visuals of when they were in 2029 or whatever were the most, like if you looked up just like sci-fi, that's the stock background in like kid pics or like word art. You just look up clip art or something. I don't know if they still do that these days. But if you just looked up like stock photos, sci-fi, that's what it would be.
Yeah. And if you as we said last week about the, you know, AI the bots who just write things, if you just put in sci-fi things into a bot and told them to write this movie, they would write all of those lines. I think that it's 80s and early 2000s where they just were stuck on just doing big words.
Yeah, and also
just for the sake of making it sound.
Yeah, the part where whatever that other bloke's name is, Kyle. Is that the guy's name? Kyle?
Kyle Reese. Kyle Reese's Pieces.
Kyle Reese's Pieces. Yeah, Bob, because like he almost left in pieces, and
man's left in pieces.
He did. He did.
He left in pieces.
He left in pieces.
Parts and pieces.
When he was explaining to the police, even if he was in 2029 explaining it to the police then, and they're living that reality, he would sound like a crazy person.
Especially when he's saying, like, I'm from Squadron 6572. How could you in this era not know this? He's from the future, and I'm not saying that people in the future are necessarily smarter than what they were in the past. I'm not being ageist in any way, or if that's a way of explaining that. But this individual understands that they don't know what's going on. That in the year 1980, whatever it was, they have no idea what is going on in regards to this Skynet thing. So the way that you approach it is not saying, "Hey, listen, I'm from Squadron 6572. I'm here to kill the cybernetic organism who has blood and flesh, but smells. His breath smells as well." You don't say all of those things, especially if you're wearing a trench coat with a homeless man's pants and some stolen shoes. What you just say is, oh, I saw this brooding figure start shooting at people, and I saw he was going after this lady, so I helped her out.
Yeah.
But also, he should know that these people are going to think he's crazy.
He's gone back in time. Like, he needs to have some sort of communication skills, and he's lacking in that department.
And he seems to have gone back in time with no plan either.
That's right.
Like, he has a plan in the fact that he knows he's going to find Sarah Connor in Los Angeles, in a place where there's many people, not just, obviously there's only 4 Sarah Connors. But
also, how does he know to go to a phone book?
That is the thing. How does he know? One, how does he know to go to a phone book? I think they said they had records that they knew how. I don't know. There's
a lot of things that are left unsaid. Like, how does Arnold Schwarzenegger rock up, bare ass, rack some clothes from the most, like, this is like a 60-year-old person's perception of just like the youths of today. Like, they got weird haircuts and like man's got tire tracks on his head. He's basically roadkill. Like, that's what the middle-aged people are thinking that the youths are looking like. And he's
when that older man has that lawn that he doesn't want people to come onto, he's thinking that Bill Paxton and his mates. I think that was Bill Paxton.
That was,
and his mates are going to go on the lawn. Now, I don't know if Bill Paxton is the one that's passed away, but like R.I.P. Bill Paxton or Bill Pullman.
I think he has.
One of those. Yeah. Is it Paxton?
I think it's Paxton. I don't know.
Hey, rip. That's humble beginnings. That's humble beginnings, but he's done good things.
He takes the clothes and then Mans just rocks out with like a fresh leather jacket at some point in the movie. I get that he could have just too well. Yeah, that's right. But I get he could have gone to, but it's just hilarious that he's in these raggedy clothes for most of the movie, and then he just rocks out with like the freshest leather jacket, and he's got like, nice fitted tailored pants on as well, and boots.
Mm-hmm. And look, I'm going to be honest with you. I know that he is a cybernetic organism, and he's not really feeling pain. But if you put on someone else's boots, there's a lot of issues that you can find there. One is fungal diseases, but 2 is just if you have ill-fitting shoes, that's discomfort for the day.
That's discomfort.
If your shoes were too tight, it wouldn't be like you stopped feeling them. That's you for the day, and that's taking you out for the week most likely. But I guess in this case it doesn't really matter because he is a robot who gets shot multiple times.
That's right,
and doesn't feel pain.
He is. I mean, obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't like Oscar-winning actor, is he?
No.
Okay, good. I wouldn't have wanted to say that, and then like I got Arnold in the comments saying like, "Bro, look at all these Oscars." But luckily that's not the case. So,
I mean, he'll probably get like a lifetime achievement Oscar at some point.
Yeah,
because
like
he's doing things for a lifetime.
Over like the longest period of time.
Well, has there been anyone better in the movie game?
No, there's no doubt that he is the top.
don't come at me in the comments and say, this man from Mr. Olympia 2021 is better, because he's not in the movie game like Arnold is.
That's right. So Arnold's got to distribute his time between like Mr. Olympia and the movie game.
And the movie game, he had to do Predator after this.
That's right.
I
And
mean,
that's
not
time
directly
management
after
skills.
this.
But
Yeah.
I can't remember what I was going to say, but there was something I was going to say, and it was going to be really important.
You about him as an actor.
Yeah. Oh, this
'Cause
role
he's not getting
suits him to a T.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's just a menacing cyborg man's. That's I mean, that's all he is. He doesn't have to do like Romeo, wherefore art thou, He doesn't have to do that.
Well, I mean, that would be very out of place in this movie. He's shot 2 Sarah Connors in the head and one lady named Ginger, and then he's saying, Romeo, where art thou, Romeo? He's just on the cliff tops.
I mean,
it would be out of
could have
place
got
in
an
this
Oscar.
movie. They press a button and he starts doing Romeo and Juliet and he becomes the good guy. Do you know what? I think that it was great that in the latter movies they turned him into the
Right, no spoilers.
not the
no spoilers.
This is not spoilers, man.
I haven't
These are
seen
movies
them.
from like the 80s and 90s. Yeah, but this is not something that will ruin your
All right, let me
enjoyment
mute
of the
you.
movie.
You tell the folks at home, bro. I want to see the next one.
Yeah, but you will see the next one. This is a conversation though. I can't be talking to you and be muted.
Far out.
They can mute me if they want,
All right,
but
go
you
on.
can't.
All right.
And I can see if you do, I think.
Okay.
No, I can't see. Yeah, the host has muted you, bro. I'll beat the hell out of you. What if I just slander you over here because you've muted me? I'm just doing slanderous things. Yeah, hey, it's good to go, man. Thumbs
I
up.
can't unmute you now. You have to unmute yourself.
I'll beat you up, man. Anyway, in the next one, Arnold's a good guy, right? That's essentially what I said
man.
before.
Are you
Dude, I was
serious?
not even talking. I was just slandering you in the mute session.
Far out.
You've been slandered.
Now I know he's the good guy.
He's a good guy, but I think that is a great turn of events because Arnold builds up on his English. He becomes more famous within the world, obviously after this movie.
Does he build up on his
he
English
becomes
in
the
the
man.
movie? Like, does he get Sarah Connor
No,
to
as in
teach
just
him
him
English?
No, him
that
as
would
an
be
actor.
funny. Yeah, okay.
That would be funny. But he is, because I mean, I did like him as a villain, and I think that he's quite a scary villain, especially in many ways. I don't think that anyone else could be that Terminator figure that just walks through fire and walks through getting shot.
Yeah.
But I think that he's charismatic enough to lead a movie and be a protagonist within that space. Whereas you don't get to see much of Arnold's charisma in this role.
No.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing for this role, but I'm saying that's why I appreciate in the latter movies he becomes a hero of sorts. Which, I mean, you haven't watched them, so that you can't speak to that.
But I've been spoiled, so I basically know everything now.
Yeah, it's everything, bro. You know what happens at the end as well. So, Vincent, I want to just talk very quickly. Now, this is only James Cameron's second major film. Mans did this movie, I think it's called Piranha 2, The Awakening or The Reborn or something, prior to this. And then he did The Terminator. So he wrote and directed this, and I'm assuming he produced it in some capacity. Now, for a first film, I think that this is very, obviously it's very good. A lot of these big directors do these big first films, and you're thinking how does a man who hasn't been in the game for very long do such a good thing? But I will say the one thing that I really didn't like about this movie is the pacing of it. I feel that the pacing, it's meant to be this cat and mouse thing where you're always worried that this Terminator is going to be around the corner. Right, and you're thinking Sarah Connor can't go anywhere safely. It's going to be hell on earth as soon as this Terminator comes back. And there's parts where it's like that, but then it just goes to Sarah Connor's doing dancing in front of the mirror with that reptile, and then later on they're doing long-winded speeches. the way that I feel that this could have been done better is if it was, they did that introduction at the start. They show her reptile and they show that she's, a waitress and she gets ice cream scoops in her dress and whatnot. And they do all that in the first 5 minutes. And then the rest of the movie is literally this guy is on her tail. Like a horror movie. Like you see him in the background. It wasn't really, I don't feel. I feel that the pace of it meant that we would jump into the past, which I mean is fine that they had to, do some scenes where they're shooting plasma guns and running around a decrepit Los Angeles. But then that leads you out of the fact of feeling scared, of feeling worried that this Terminator is right around the corner. And at the end of the day, maybe they weren't going for a horror movie per se. Maybe that's just the way I thought that it would go. But I feel, I'm not saying that there needs to be tension either, because you've talked previously on this podcast about the importance of levity or of times to wind down after feeling a whole lot of tension, so then you can build that tension back up.
That's right. You need a break. Well, some movies you need a break. You don't need a break, but like that could be a thing to do. I mean, there was I do think that there was a bit too much of the future stuff, because it seemed to be it didn't seem to serve that much of a purpose. Like, I mean, you get the gist. Everything's crap. There's machines everywhere. I think you saw the same stop motion animated plane fly over this twice. Looked like exactly the same shot that they reused. Mm-hmm. But also, it somewhat made Kyle a worse character, some of the things, because at one point he's there with this other lady and they're doing army things. They're trying to infiltrate the dealer and find the supplier of the Skynet. And she just gets shot up by a plasma rifle, and he's just drops his head a bit and then keeps going.
That scene where the Terminator comes into his comes into that space was one of the funniest scenes, because Kyle Reese had no idea what he was doing in that space.
No.
And I'm not sure how he didn't get shot immediately, because this Terminator, this one in that future scenario, he steps into the space and he just starts shooting. Yeah. And he's not letting up. Like, the gun does not overheat. It does not run out of bullets. It's because of the plasma
it just
model
keeps B352.
Yeah, that's right. And they didn't have that, at the gun shop. But he just runs directly towards the Terminator with no plan. He shoots him a couple of times, but then he just, I think he does get shot, or something happens and he falls to the ground. But the reason I think that they put the future things in there is, one, a bit of padding probably, but also I believe that this is a good movie for a an up and coming director to be like, hey, look at this story that we could create. We could do current day things,
as in,
but also we could do future things as well. And at the end of the movie, when you see what the Terminator looks like when all its flesh has been burnt off, that's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, when its flesh was half coming off, that's not as cool looking.
Yeah, and I think that is of the times, and it's pretty cool that they were able to get a moving wax robot to do the things that it did. It was
hilarious though. I was looking at it this is they've done as best as they can, but it's still hilarious.
And the best bit is, as soon as you see the movement of the head, even if you can't see the skin, that it's changed to the model, because it's just very unnatural.
Yeah, it looks like one of the clowns from the carnivals.
The ones that they've got their mouth open, just waiting for bowls to be put in.
You put a red eye on one of them, Terminator.
But yeah, so I think that there's a reason for it, but I agree that those future ones were. I mean, there was one where they were literally underground.
Yeah.
And they were just speaking on the radio, and then they were like, "Come on!" And then they moved to the next space, and then it stopped.
Yeah, I mean, this has got 100% on the Rotten Tomatoes. I enjoyed this movie, but this is not a 100% movie.
It's not.
Maybe of the time you can give it a few more points, but the story's not fantastic. It's not like you said, it's not paced. I mean, I probably wouldn't go as far as to say like the pacing was all off, but like the story is fine. It's a cool action movie. It's a good movie, but it's not great.
And I did enjoy some of the car chase scenes as well. I thought they were really cool.
Yeah.
I thought that obviously Arnold had a good role. I thought that Kyle Reese, he was good, especially when he's just running around like with just a homeless man's pants on and his shirt off, you know. He's a man
really
without
like
a plan.
The first bit when Kyle Reese is out there and he's being resourceful.
He's on the run.
He's on the run. That was
I think it's not as iconic as the Evil Dead, thing where he's setting up all his weapons and he's cutting the sawn-off shotgun to make his boomstick. But it is a really cool scene where he's just like, I just got to live on the streets here, but I need protection. So I've got this shotgun. I'm putting it in my trench coat. I'm shortening it. And I like that they did do that because initially he puts the whole shotgun in his trench coat and you can see it hanging out the bottom. And then they're like, well, we can't have this going on because the reality is you see a man with a big trench coat and the bottom of a barrel, hanging out his pants. You're not going to be thinking like this man should be in the adult film industry. You're going to be thinking that this man has got a gun on him.
You're absolutely not thinking that.
And that's just the reality of the situation.
That's just the reality. I do think the start of this movie was one of the highlights, I think. Because you saw the Terminator, like that was opening scene, and you were like, this is wild. And I imagine you're in the cinemas in 1984, like George Orwell's just like telling you about how everything's going to go crazy in the future, and you're looking at this and like man's the Terminator, and he's just asking for folks' clothes with like tire marks on their head, and you're thinking like you're a kid of that age, that could be you, because you look in the mirror and you got tire marks.
Yeah. That was fantastic. And I think also, even just like, I would like to know what it felt like to watch this at the time, but just like some of the 80s, just the hair was making me enjoy this movie. Like Sarah Connor's hair is out of this world. Right.
But yeah, I mean,
her mate's hair.
Oh, Ginger, yeah, mate's hair.
That was great, man. I love that.
So you had the Arnold Schwarzenegger. Then you had Kyle Reese, and that was you could tell that Arnold Schwarzenegger was there on a mission, and Mans was like prepared. He was ready to go. And then from the get go, you knew that Kyle Reese was out there like he was either running from the Terminator or he was trying to stop him. But you knew that like Mans was scrambling. Yeah. He had a plan, but he had a goal, but he didn't have a plan. And then you go to Sarah Connor, and then you step into, and it's like completely different. And I like the three perspectives, and then they all meet up, obviously.
I'll quickly touch on Kyle Reese, then I'll go on to Sarah Connor. But yeah, I'm going to use this word again, even though I don't know what it is. But the juxtaposition between Arnold Schwarzenegger's character and Kyle Reese.
Yeah.
So not only does one of them come in with a specific plan, and he's got a very structured way of how he's going about it. You know, he's looking at the phone book, he's found all the things, he's going to the houses, and he's shooting him in the head. That's his plan. Whereas Kyle Reese, not only does he not have the plan, he's scrambling, but he is like, this is not something that we do today, but physically, he is just a skinny man because he's been living in the future where it's nuclear wasteland.
Yeah, that's
they're living off of scraps. You know, whereas these days, if it was a nuclear wasteland, they're living off of scraps, and the Terminator comes back, The Rock would be the man that's facing him. You know, The Rock's built bigger than the Terminator. It doesn't work, but I like that they have this dude who's obviously he is a sergeant or whatever he was in the thing, but physically he's no match for the Terminator. But he's not stopping. It doesn't bother him. He's going to continue to fight. And as for Sarah Connor, I love those initial scenes where she's hearing on the radio or on the TV that another Sarah Connor has been found dead. Imagine how scary that. I mean, especially for us, because like there's only one person with our entire names in this whole like almost this whole world.
You hear like this person is dead. It's you.
If I heard it on the radio, I'd be like, oh man, this is crazy. I'd be like, why am I walking on clouds, man? This is wild. That's what would be happening.
I've never seen these gates before.
What's your name, Paul? That's what it would be like.
Oh man. Hey, all right. So should we get into the last kind of bit of this movie? I mean, I specifically want to talk about the fact that the whole timeline is built on this man's going back in time, inseminating Sarah Connor, and then they having the guy that then recreates the world.
Yeah.
And it seems like John Connor knew that, because obviously Sarah Connor's like telling him about it.
Yeah, of course. My girlfriend walked in to the latter part of this movie where Kyle Reese dies. And she's like, oh no, is he one of the good guys? I was like, yeah, but his job's been done. He's done everything he needs to. Mans is happy. He's done what he needs to.
That's right.
And
but also, from his perspective, he doesn't know that he is going to be the father of John Connor.
He doesn't. No.
Right? So he's going in there. He's fallen in love with Sarah Connor. And for all he knows, he's just ruined everything.
Yeah, because he's created some other baby.
That's
what
right.
You're saying.
But also, like, one time, and that's like on Sarah Connor as well. Here. Not using any form of protection.
Oh yeah, but we talked about this last week, and we'll talk about it again this week. When you're a fight, flight, or fright. Fight, flight, or freeze. You're doing anything. You're not really thinking as such about what you're going to be doing.
I know, but
even when people aren't in fight, flight, or freeze, they're doing that. They
know that whoever her kid is, he's going to save the world or whatever in the future.
Yeah.
And they're going, let's just roll the dice.
Yeah. But also that becomes his, like, the man that he looks up to. Kyle Reese looks up to John Connor.
Yeah.
But technically Kyle Reese is younger than John Connor is in that timeline. And that's his son. Yeah, is that wild to you?
But I don't know a lot about time travel. I haven't run the simulations, I haven't done the numbers. But that doesn't compute. That doesn't add up.
But I mean, again, this is where we can jump into, there's always issues with time travel in movies.
We won't go there.
And it's best that you don't, because then you get to at least enjoy everything else that's going on.
Yeah, that's right.
These heads are like, Back to the Future wouldn't really work, and it's like, bro, it's a man in a DeLorean and he's just driving, and he's got a skateboard that floats. I don't care if the timeline doesn't work.
That's right. Like, they didn't sell many of those. Like, even if you were able to make a time machine out of a DeLorean, like, there's none there. There's none around.
It's not around, man. And like, they're not that. The reason that they're not around is because they're really not that good a car.
No, that's right. They're unreliable.
They are unreliable, especially for time travel.
Exactly. Get a Toyota Corolla, then you're in business.
Yeah, man. You get a Tesla. That's time travel in itself. But Vincent, tell me more about this final bit. Is there anything more that you want to talk about in this final bit?
That's about all. I mean, at the end of the day, they have a final showdown. There's explosions and whatnot. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
I love that the Terminator just doesn't stop.
He said he will be back, and he'll be back. Like, why did he have to say he'll be back? Mm-hmm. It's funny. It's funny. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, it's the birth of an iconic line as well.
That's right. Like, I've got no qualms with that. But like, I love how he looks at like the structure.
That's so good. That's a really good little thing.
Mans could like flick it and bring it down. He doesn't need to crash a whole car in there.
But isn't that great that he's like, that just shows what kind of a character this man is.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I know that there's one way that I can get in here is by crashing through my car. Let me just make sure that this structure will allow me to just kill this man on arrival. That's great. He just looks up, looks around, and he goes, I'll be back. He walks out.
Oh, man.
That's so cool. And I mean, there's probably more of those little things that we missed as well.
Probably, yeah.
But I mean, that's I mean, it's iconic for a reason, that scene. But that part of it is what makes it great.
Yeah, for sure.
The police showdown where he goes into that police station after and just starts mowing them down. There's, you've got these police officers who you think are going to be like main parts of the movies, and they just get gunned down in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, the lieutenant, like he's like the third
lieutenant.
or fourth name in the credits, in the opening credits.
That's right.
So you're thinking, he's going to do something. He's going to blow off an arm or something. Man's just straight away, and that's all you hear about.
I don't even know if he even shoots him. He just goes to try to shoot him, and then like Arnold just says, "Nah, you're gone."
That's right.
Blast him.
He said, "You won't be back."
But yeah,
that's it for your time in this movie.
I mean, the sequel, it's gone for that man. He can't be in it unless they do time travel things.
That's right.
Vincent, I think it's time that we tell them whether this movie, because I mean, if you want to get it from Bezos, you got to pay $4.99.
Yeah, it's not worth that.
Like Bezos will get you to pay $4.99.
See,
and that's not even for the month.
That's
an extra payment.
That's right, and this is my view. You've got streaming service on top of streaming service. I understand that the rights neither here nor there or whatever, but you're telling me that not one of these like I've got Stan, I got Binge, I got Disney Plus, I got Netflix, I got Amazon Prime Video. That's 5. You're telling me 5 subscriptions I can't get the Terminator, like 1984's very own.
I know.
Or whatever.
I had to get Paramount Plus just to get. I had to get
Paramount Plus. It's another one I've got.
Paramount Plus. Yeah, I had to get that just to get Key and Peele's.
See, like, what? How you expect me to? Like, I pirated this movie, 100%. I'll say that on record.
No, you didn't.
Because at this point,
you didn't do that. That's you're being facetious now.
What are they going to do to me? What's Jeff going to do?
You're being facetious now.
Actually, no, I didn't pirate this movie. I didn't.
That's right, because you thought when
you clicked Rent,
was it actually?
Yeah, not like some man's just uploaded it, but that's legal.
Hold on a second.
I don't know if it's still up there now, but it wasn't in the best quality. It was like 720p only, but that was fine for me.
And you got me to rent it off of Bezos.
Yeah.
You got me to rent this off of Bezos. No, I can't see anyway.
Yeah,
but
it's
anyway.
the Terminator full movie, Action HD. Movie Axed 1 year ago. It's been up there for a year.
What the hell? Full movie. Let me look at this. So you're telling me I rented this off of Bezos? Dude, this thing has been here for 7 years.
7?
Oh, sorry, not even more than 7 years. It's been here for 10 years.
No, that's the full movie part 1. No, that's not the right one.
That's the full movie. Hold on a second. Oh, shoot. Sorry. We're going to get like... Oh, that's just the trailer. Okay, yeah, you got to buy this one.
Yeah, no, that's the top one.
Well.
But anyway, yeah, that's right.
Anyway, Bezos, man, like, you're driving whatever you're driving. You've got everything that you need. Like, you're even looking fit Bezos is even looking fit these days,
Yeah, but man's lost his wife, so...
That's what happens. You lose your wife, you get fit. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying, like, he doesn't have everything. Because he was married, now he's not married. Everything.
Yeah. I mean, he has the money where he could make a wife. Like, he could make a cybernetic wife if he wanted to. That's why, the Bezos way.
Maybe that's why he didn't have the Terminator there, because he's using all the rights to the Terminator movie to try and like piece together how he can make a cybernetic organism. And everyone he makes comes looking at like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's like, I don't want Arnold Schwarzenegger to be my wife.
And then eventually he's like, look, I'm just going to settle on Schwarzenegger because, like, right. Maybe it's his personality that I'll get to know and I'll enjoy.
But no, it's not worth paying for. If it's on a streaming, like, it's worth watching. It's a half decent movie.
Yeah. It is a pretty good movie. I mean, I'm eager to watch the second one. I'll be honest with you. I'd like to watch the second one.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it spoiled for me, so like I know who the winner is. I don't need to watch it.
You don't know about the winners. You don't know about the winners or the losers. How do you know that they win?
If you want to catch us on the Patreon, $2 a month. All right.
Or you can get it here for free,
Arguments that we have between each other on there. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, down the description in your podcast app. It's there. If you're on YouTube, app already said it. Like and subscribe. What else we got to say? That's it. Talk soon.
Top 10 memes next week.
Top 10
Talk soon.
memes next week. Talk soon.
Talk soon.